What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Okay, the moon landing, which is obviously fake.
No, it's not obviously fake.
No, that's actually not what
Are
I
you
said. The moon landing is
crazy?
definitely fake, by the way.
The moon
100%
landing's not.
fake. The shadows are off.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I've looked at photos on the internet and it
Yeah,
proves it.
Nick,
The shadows are off. The shadows are off.
shadows
The shadows
are
are off.
Time to cover all things Minnesota. It's The Take with Blois Olson on the Al Travis Show. If it's news in Minnesota, he knew about it 20 minutes ago.
Always glad to have him with us. He's Blois Olson with the Daily Agenda, thedailyagenda.com. Blois, all kinds of things to discuss today, but I'd like to start it off on a lighter note, if you're okay with that.
Sure.
How do you think the NHL Championship's going? You enjoying it? You liking it? Good hockey?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing hockey.
Yeah.
We've already established as a law of the world that the NHL has the best playoffs.
You have mentioned that.
And you had 2 overtime games. I think this is stacking up like the 91 World Series between the Atlanta Braves and the Minnesota Twins.
Not to oversell it at all, though. I like that.
We had 2 games in overtime. One of them went to double overtime.
One was a double overtime. No, it has been fantastic. Nothing wrong with dramatic. I'm glad you brought it up.
Your anti-hockey bias, I keep the hope swaying away from, but I know it's hard down there in southern Minnesota for you to accept that the whole rest of the state appreciates this sport more than any other, including NFL football. Oh wait, that might be overstated.
There we go. Now you might have stepped over the top. All right. So you've enjoyed it. Do you see? It's that close. Do you have a perennial favorite that's going to win this bad boy?
I don't have a favorite. I want Edmonton to win because I think Canadians deserve a victory. How about that?
You're so international. You're like an international spy. Okay.
I'm a global man.
You are. You're a Renaissance man in general. Let's talk today. Now, this is the big story we get over the weekend that the governor did call the special session. It starts this morning and has to be done, as I understand it, by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. I thought a couple of things, and you described it to me. They have like 13 bills that have to get done. They have got some weird thing where, of course, they have to suspend the Minnesota's Constitution. They have to literally vote that we're not going to do any of the regular stuff, like do amendments and stuff. The only amendments that'll be taken are, as I understand it, by all 4 leaders and the governor have to agree. Sounds a little less democratic than we might generally look at things when it comes to voting on stuff, isn't it?
Well, I think there's some truth to that, Al. But let's be clear: they're not suspending the Constitution. Okay, Al. This is the June edition of Al. Facts Matter. Okay. They will vote on whether or not to suspend the rules of the legislature. Okay? So this isn't suspending the Constitution of the state of Minnesota. That would seem a little aggressive. So there's that. So they'll vote. That'll be the first key vote to watch this morning is if they suspend the rules. What that means is that they could get done by 7 o'clock tomorrow. If they don't vote to suspend the rules, then they can't because they have to have multiple days to hear bills, et cetera, et cetera. So that's 1. 2, amendments. Any member of the legislature can offer an amendment at any time, no matter what. It's just whether or not the leaders and the members of the caucuses have agreed to limit the number of amendments. Leaders have agreed only to support amendments that all 4 leaders support. So think of it as like the captains of the team and then the team. And the team may go rogue. They may call an audible.
Yep.
But the captains are going to try to keep them in line here. And then finally, they say they want to adjourn by 7 a.m. tomorrow. But once the governor calls the special session, then the governor can't end the special session. Only the legislature can end it. So they'd have to vote to adjourn trusting all their work is done by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. So this is what we call, like, you know, A/B testing at various points throughout the next 22 hours.
Do you, because you know everybody up there, do you get a sense that maybe the management is more organized, might be the wrong word, more in tune to what its people want at this point? I throw out there whatever it was a couple Thursdays back, governors talking about how we came to terms and the people were beating on the door. Seemed like they didn't have a good grasp of what was going on. Do they have those folks in line? Do we think this will go smoothly? What are your people telling you?
I think there's going to be some eruptions of chaos today. I think there'll be some protesters. I know that at 8:15 there's already a news conference about immigrant health care. Mm-hmm. I don't think people are going to go down without a fight. I just think that they think the majority of the members of the legislature want to be done with their work. That's probably the biggest driving factor here. The other thing that I think is something to think about, and I say this about Washington a lot, I'm going to start saying it more about St. Paul. You have 201 legislators there. In St. Paul, you have 535 of them in Washington, okay?
Yep.
Guess what?
But
in Washington, you have about 20 to 25 that make all the noise.
Yep.
And there's 535 between the Senate and House. 201 in Minnesota, you have about 15 to 25 that make all the noise. The rest of them just want to get their work done. They want to go home for the summer.
Yeah.
They don't want this chaos. They want to just pass a budget and be done. And I think that's why you'll see some bigger bipartisan votes today.
I made a list as we were going along, some of the things that were going to be the bumps in the road. You brought up Minnesota Care for undocumented. Is that been solved? Yep. Have you seen the big beautiful bill? If I can steal it, where that fits?
Well, it's not. Again, it's not a big beautiful bill. These are 13 different bills. So that bill will be its own bill. Okay.
Okay.
So that will and if it has no other DFL votes, Speaker Emeritus Melissa Hortman has said she will be the only Democratic vote to make that pass because she agreed to the deal. Okay? Similar, I believe, on the tax bill. Speaker Demuth agreed to the tax on cannabis. I think that if there's no other Republican vote, she will be the only Republican vote to pass the tax bill. So they need 68 votes to pass any bill. Okay. So watch those bills for where you could have party line votes.
But the management, gotcha. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But to get this, so the cannabis one, the tax bill, Demuth had to vote yes for it, which would increase the tax, which you said she wouldn't do, but we're all compromising here. I'm not ripping it. On the other hand, though, the Minnesota Care, that's a vote to keep it going, or is that a vote to get rid of? Is it a positive vote or negative?
It's a vote to end it. Minnesota Care eligibility for undocumented adults. Okay. Children would still be eligible.
Okay. Just so we know what we're talking about. And then the other one that when we started this session now was hourly workers in school districts, the getting unemployment insurance. That was going to be a sticking point. Do we know where that sits when we're going out to vote today?
I think, Al, that they would still be eligible for unemployment coverage. That's my gut.
Okay, fair enough. And then the one that came up 2 days ago, which seemed to come out of nowhere a couple of weeks ago, the data centers being some major issue for some. You don't hear anything about it till 10 days ago. Now it's a big thing. Can you describe what it is, and does it go anywhere?
Sure.
By pro data?
So data centers are a huge economic development opportunity. Mm-hmm. Minnesota has become attractive because we have land and relatively inexpensive electricity. So environmentalists, though, don't like the energy usage of data centers. They also don't like the water usage of data centers. And so they wanted more restrictions or more guidance on permitting these data centers. Okay. Data centers have quickly become controversial across the country because Google and Meta and Amazon are building them everywhere for AI. Well, the question is, what is Minnesota going to do? So at the end of the day, they get a tax credit, and so the first thing was to remove the tax credit. That meant that we wouldn't get data centers, and that's a place where, like, Governor Walz had said, we want data centers, but he gave it up. So you're like, well, if this is a priority, why are we giving it up?
Yeah.
And then, so the final deal gives credit to data centers that the money they spend helps other environmental causes and rebates and things like that as we go forward. So it's just, it's a compromise. We should still be able to get data centers, but maybe not as many, or they have to pay a little more in taxes, and it goes to other environmental causes like energy efficiency and low-income housing or something like that.
I'm sure that state senators are all much smarter reps than I am.
Don't be so sure, Al.
Well, I guess my point is, when this comes up, and now you're saying this is a standalone vote, as I understand it, for the data center deal. We're going to put it out there. You can vote on it. They've only had, how much time have they had to figure out the issue? I mean,
a couple days.
Okay. Okay, then you made my point. It just seems so strange to me.
This is where leaders lead. So on that issue, for instance, Senator France became the broker of the deal. Okay, yes. So his members trusted him to figure out a way to get this done. Okay, so you can't have everybody be an expert in everything, Al. I mean, so they find their different expertise areas and then they trust it. But they've had previews, they've had caucuses for days on many of these issues. I mean, Speaker Damon said Republicans had caucused half the bills before Saturday. That means they had a discussion in their caucus to figure out what's in the bill, what's not in the bill, what they like, what they don't like.
All right. We've got to go to break quick. When we come back, we'll ask Blois exactly how he sees the day rolling. We'll do that right after this on the Al Travis Show.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease! It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on the Al Travis Show.
And we've got him, Blois Olson, with the daily agenda. So, Blois, talk me through the day. They get started right away this morning. They suspend the rules about throwing on, extra amendments and that sort of thing. But person does have the right to do it. How do they squash that? Is that where you're talking the eruptions are going to happen? Someone's going to say, no, I really want this, and they'll force votes, and that's where they won't be done by 7 tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, remember last year, Senator Omar Fateh disappeared for like a day and a half.
Yeah.
I think you could see some of that. Then they, if the majority, of Democrats don't go, they might not have a quorum. Heck, in the House, somebody could get a car accident on the way there today and be late and miss the tie. I mean, there's many things that could cause chaos. But I think what you'll see is they'll start taking up the non-controversial bills quickly.
Okay.
I think that builds momentum. The tax bill and the bonding bill have to originate in the House. So the House debate time frame will impact the Senate calendar because they'll have to wait for those bills to come over.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Al, I think we'll know by, 6 or 7 tonight if it's going smoothly or it's not going smoothly.
Okay.
And we could know earlier, but I think they'll try to get everybody in alignment.
Do you believe the bonding bill gets over the finish line? I had heard rumors. I heard some people chatting that some folks were promised quite a little bit to get in that may not have made the final cut, and they were just told about it in the last couple of days, last day. Does bonding get through? You need 60% there, right?
Well, this is, again, the bonding captains, okay? 2 in the House, 2 in the Senate.
Yep.
Do they have enough votes within their group to get it passed? Probably.
Okay. At the 60 vote majority. And do you know what kind of number that comes in at? Is it about 700 million or something like that?
Yeah, 700 million. Yeah, about 700 million.
Right. And then any of the big sticklers going to be taxed. You're putting your money on the 2 that might hold this whole thing up. Taxes, obviously, it's always a big deal.
Taxes, bonding. They've resolved an issue in the transportation bill last night. So we'll see how that plays out here.
Are you talking the money that went from counties to what is it called?
The Met Council.
The Met Council, is that the issue? And was it the amount how much they switched, or did they pull that out? Do you know how they resolved that?
I think they killed the whole provision.
Oh, well, that'll make some people very happy and others not. Does that? Okay.
Yes. Well, and again, Al, these are the questions that the leaders and the governor need to answer. Is that proposal never received a hearing?
No.
Okay. It just appeared in some agreement between Portman, Dameth, Murphy, and the governor. Then when the transportation chairs, the captains of transportation, saw it, they're like, no way.
What are you doing?
And why, who would be in favor of that? Well, the administration would be in favor of that because it gives them money for Met Council. And, oh, by the way, who's going to suffer from federal transportation cuts? Met Council. And the counties, that's locally derived sales tax.
Yep.
And the counties were promised that money just 2 years ago. So it would have been a pretty big broken promise.
Gotcha. My friend, I'm out of time. If someone wanted to pick up the daily agenda, they should do it today because tomorrow is going to be an unbelievable read. I guarantee you that. How do I go about picking up, my friend?
You go to thedailyagenda.com. You sign up there. And if you send me an email to bloisolson@gmail.com saying you heard and signed up because of the Al Travis Show, I'll send you a Morning Take 15th anniversary mug.
Those are collector's items.
Al gets the bill.
All right, fair enough. I'll take care of that. Blois Olson, the Daily Agenda on the Al Travis Show.